Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. Mary Beth?
Councilwoman Chapman.
Here.
Councilman Cookingham.
Here.
Councilman Deegan.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Swenson.
Here.
Town Attorney Warren Woodlansky.
Here.
All present.
Okay, at this time, I'd like a motion to go into executive session for a personnel matter at 7:03.
So moved.
Second?
No, I just need a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. We're just going to leave for a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back.
We just need to vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session at 7:36.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for 2 items for special consideration. 15A, which is to advertise for a water safety instructor, and 15B would be for aquatics director. Oh, it's 15B and C, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda, to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are no public hearings, and there are no minutes to accept. All official correspondence is on file in the town clerk's office, and there are no presentations. At this time, I'd like to make a statement. There was a vote at the last meeting for good cause eviction law, and it has been brought to my attention that it would have been better for me to declare that I owned a rental building. For that, I am sorry. In the future, I will be sure to disclose any direct or indirect interest in legislation. I'd like to motion to open up the public comment section of the meeting, 3 minutes per person.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anybody'd like to speak?
Madam Supervisor, council members, Gully Stanford, 181 Marshall Road. I'm here to request a yes vote on items 14E and 14F, short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units. I want to compliment the board on the civil, inclusive, and respectful way in which you both sought community input and the adjustments you have made over time to ensure that concerns on these 2 matters have been addressed and resolved. So I was a little surprised on May the 19th by some of the opinions expressed by board members appearing to question the validity of these proposals. Are you having second thoughts, I wondered. I'm grateful, Madam Supervisor, for the time you took to explain your stated criticisms, and I hope that given the due diligence that you have collectively ensured throughout the process, your confidence in both these proposals has been restored. Suffice it to say that the adjustments made to the original drafts would appear to have addressed their critics concerned both when it comes to short-term rentals and accessory dwelling units. Your collective recent efforts to bring transparency, community, fairness, and yes, abundance to our town have been noted and appreciated, and great progress has been made on previously stagnant initiatives. It is plain that passage of these proposals will add to both the economic development and prosperity of Pleasant Valley and to the personal comfort and quality of life of our residents at a time when lack of housing is causing widespread stress and uncertainty. Further, you will be joining at least half the towns in Dutchess and qualifying for additional grant funding without giving up an iota of your powers of supervision and regulation. This is the kind of progress you promised collectively and individually to deliver when you ran on platforms of community, efficiency, and transparency. As the founding fathers might have put it when they adopted the Bill of Rights, what's not to like? Thank you.
Gary Veter, Salt Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. On agenda items, I would like to mention that one of the agenda items is a sistership with another country town in Italy, and it's Peters is the name of the fellow that has been in contact with. There are Peters in that cemetery I've been working on for 4 years. You might make a note of that. We have three up there. So that's total on that. That's been coming to a close, and it's looking pretty good, by the way. The whatever the name is, the short-term rental thing, that we have a part-time building zoning person, and this, as written, is impossible to enforce. He leaves at 1 o'clock. If somebody's gonna stay overnight, and how many are in bedrooms and so forth, you aren't gonna find that out before 1 o'clock. There's other parts of that whole thing. Exterior doors and shall be clear and unobstructed. Do you have to go up every day and make sure? I mean, there's a whole bunch of this stuff that makes this really impossible to enforce. I think, and one of the things is quite funny, not ha-ha, but in the event the property has a septic system, every house in the town of Pleasant Valley has a septic system. We have no septic, so the if can leave. The other main thing is I've done a lot of talking to people that know what's going on with new teaming. And a lot of statements were made that were really not thought out. I'm glad you're finally understanding that you got to get a water safety guy and an aquatics director, because you can't just dipstick the pool. You need licensed people to do that. I've said it here before. A lot of other people have mentioned similar things. It is after looking into things, I am told that at the last meeting, people can go up, just not members of the in the camp. There are other Pleasant Valley people can go up and hike and so forth. I'm told that it's open only for the camp. We can't use can't use the kitchen, can't use the building. And with this, I think fire department was mentioned too. They want nothing else than the camp. That's the part that I heard. I think, and the cost is going to be, because we have to get 50 people from the county that we don't choose. The county will send 50 people free of charge to use the camp. That's why we're hired 26 people, because of the increase in attendance. Thank you.
Okay, Ed Reno, 125 Marshall Road. This is an information request, and I wonder if you guys can do it by going to the county. First of all, I want to congratulate management, whoever you were, and you rotate. I've rotated since 2021 on keeping town taxes down, okay, more or less even, which is great. You can't ask for much more from management. With that in mind, I wonder if you have the data easily available or can otherwise get it, perhaps from Dan Amar Blair with a phone call, I don't know. But what would be useful to see is on a single piece of paper, the tax years 2021 through 2024, I guess is what we would have data for. You did a 2025 budget, correct? Okay, fine, through 2025. Showing what the budget was, and then showing what the sources were to finance that budget. 3 in particular, obviously taxes, local taxes, property taxes. And then in addition, what the flows were from the federal government and the state government, and possibly you'll hive out Dutchess County, but that's just a confluence of state and, they have some sales tax, I'm sorry. So those would probably be the 3 entities plus taxes showing the sources. It would be very nice to have that information on a piece of paper. You may already have it. So I'm making a request for that. And at the next meeting, you can say, we have it, we don't, Okay? Thank you.
Kathy Kruger, Rawls Road, Pleasant Valley. I wanted to piggyback on what Gary said, and after watching for the hours of the meeting last month, zoning, people had questions about zoning and the zoning administrator and enforcing our codes. I think it's a fantasy world in Pleasant Valley for anybody to think that our zoning codes are going to be enforced by our zoning administrator at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning or for all night long. I have experienced it. I have had paperwork up to here in the zoning administration of problems that I had with nothing, the noise ordinances this town, cars, fences being put up, sheds being put up, and nothing being done about it. I have paperwork at the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office. I have paperwork at the police department, the New York State Police Department. Gets me absolutely nowhere. And after bulldozers all night long, generators running all night long, lights being put on ladders to shine in my windows, just constant chainsaws in the middle of the night, power equipment going in the middle of the night, keeping us up all night long, and nothing being done about it by this zoning administration. So, and this all let to go until finally now I have a little piece only after the death and the killing on our block of the guy that was tormenting and harassing us for 6 years. There is no excuse for what happened. I went to the zoning board and they told me to sue the town for what happened. So if you really think that you are going to be taken care of here by your zoning administrator, it's just a complete fantasy that is going to happen. And we lived with it, and the last thing that zoning administrator told me was that I had to learn to get along with the neighbor that had been harassing us for years. And within a few months, he killed his tenant, his girlfriend, his son on the block. How the hell do you get along with somebody like that? So please think closely about everything that's going on and what you think. We've been overpaying taxes for the last 5 years. We should have a full-time zoning administrator who will actually do his job.
Not seeing anyone else, I would like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business discussion. Term limits. Councilman Reifenberg.
Yes, so you guys all received an email this afternoon. Basically, I should have put term lengths, not term limits. They're kind of combined, though. I brought this up when I first got on the board almost 4 years ago, and at some point, the town, I don't remember the exact year, it was the town board decided to put it as a referendum on the ballot to see if the town was open to moving the supervisor from 2 years to 4 years. At that time, they decided they want to keep it 2 years. What I'm suggesting is that if we can do this in a timely manner, I would suggest that we open up the question to the public in this November election of if they want to keep the town board members at 4 years or potentially be open to moving town board members down to 2-year terms. There's 2 reasons why I'm even bringing this up. One is there seems to be an issue finding I'm not part of that process, but there seems to be an issue with finding people who want to commit 4 years of their lives to doing this job. So I think it might open up to more candidates, and people might actually be open to the idea of committing 2 years and seeing how it goes. And then if they want to run again, they run it for another 2 years. Because 4 years is a long time, especially if you're trying to attract people that might be younger and have kids. I mean, I'm going through that dilemma right now, is that I started this job and my daughter was an infant, and I'm leaving this, well, potentially leaving this job when she's starting kindergarten. So I've really dedicated the first 4 years of her life here, and I have another one, almost 2-year-old. So I just think it might be more attractive of maybe lowering it to 2 years. The other thing is that, I don't know if you've heard, but local elections have been challenged back and forth, and basically I think the latest thing is they're going to be on national election years now. You're not going to have an off local election year. So the way it's done now is everybody's on 4 years except for the supervisor, and then it's alternating between the two sides. Well, I don't know if it's, I don't agree with what they're doing because it's just going to be about national politics, but you're going to have 2 sets of people running every presidential election, and then you're going to have 2 sets of people running every midterm election, and we all know the dynamics are completely different depending on the year. So I really think, my personal opinion is, we should entertain the idea of every 2 years, no matter if it's a midterm or a presidential election, everybody's up for election that's on the town board. So again, it doesn't really matter what we think. Either way, it's up to the voters to vote on it. But I'm just bringing it up as, if the board's supportive of letting the voters entertain this, there is an option that we could potentially get this on the ballot in November. I obviously wouldn't want to do this if it was not going to be on the ballot in November and cost the taxpayers money to do a special election. But if we can get it done, I'm just curious what you guys think.
I unfortunately, Michael, disagree with you just because of the mere fact a 2-year term is so hard to get anything done. As Mary could tell you, who's on a 2-year term, when you finally start getting things done and the ball rolling and you're almost to the finish line of a project, then you're starting all over again. I personally feel that across the board we should all be 4 years. I understand what you're saying. It is hard to get people to run again, but look at the town hall. It's been years. We finally got a board that's working together, that is getting things done. Parks, town hall, the camp, everything. That would mean, like, we would lose half the board. I personally feel everybody should be on a 4-year term. That's how I feel, including the supervisor.
So are you saying you're not okay putting it to the voters, or are you okay with us putting it to the voters?
I personally should leave it the way it is.
Okay.
So I love it. I would put 2 and 2 for a couple reasons. I think I think they're both positive reasons, but if you do this job and you're in and you're committed to it, I was told that it takes a year to learn this job. It doesn't. If you're active and you're involved and you ask a lot of questions and you make mistakes early, you can learn how to do this and function in here and raise things and run projects within 6 months. It's not a year to learn it. It's not 2 months, but it's 6 months. But if you're here, you're active, you're putting things on here, you're taking over projects, yeah, you can get a lot of things done in a year. The board last year, I think, accomplished quite a bit. This one's on a good roll. We didn't really get any momentum going until like April or May. And it was from April to November where we had playgrounds going in, we had a bunch of things going on, and that's just scratching the surface. Started the town hall project. But the other thing, and I'll just speak for myself, so I think you will get more people to run if it's a 2-year. 4 years is intimidating. Asking someone to do 4 and then, yeah, run again, you got things going. 8 years of their life is difficult. You'll have a lot of people that'll do it, but you'll lose a lot of people that aren't willing to do that. But you'll have plenty of people that are willing to do 2. And if they're doing well and they're getting momentum and they're getting things done, they're going to want to run again. I disagree with the logic. You'll hear people say, like, well, if you do this, now we got to have campaigns every 2 years. In my opinion, if you're an elected official and you did your job, you don't have to campaign. Your resume is what you did for 2 years, and the voter decides on that. But specifically for me, I'm here for 2.5 years on my term. If there are things that you, the public, don't like about what I'm doing, you don't like what I'm raising, you don't like what I'm working on, you don't think I'm doing my job, you should be able to vote me out. That's the way this works. If people don't like that, sorry, that's democracy. And the fact that you might have to be stuck with me for 2.5 years, I don't think that's right. I think it should be 2 years and 2 years. I think there should be a referendum on board members, supervisor. This isn't about anybody up here personally. I'm talking about myself. I think we should earn this seat every 2 years. And you re-interview every 2 years and you prove us what you do. And if you don't, hopefully we have a seat of people. And I think you will have a larger bench of people when they're not intimidated with a 4-year cloud over everything, and they can do it for 2 years. My 2 cents. 2 and 2, I would be for it, and I'd put it out to the voters.
Well, since I'm technically supposed to be on a 3-year term, but I'm not, I have to run every year, so I'm running again this year. I ran last year, and then I have to run again. So I don't know about that, because once, like you said, you get 6 months into it, and now I got to start, trying to get people to, make sure I'm doing the right thing, because if not, I'm going to not be able to be back up here. So to me, it doesn't make sense to a degree, and that, like, I've been to the, ran, 4 years ago, and, if you don't make it, it's a lot of work for your family and everything else you're putting in here. It's not just the time for me, it's the time that my wife gets to put in, not seeing me, going to meetings and dealing with a lot of other stuff that everybody else up here. And same thing with the town hall. I see it took forever to get done. If every 2 years you got a new board, we wouldn't get anything. We have enough issues in Pleasant Valley right now that we need to get a lot of done stickers and not just keep, pushing it and kicking it down the street. So, myself, the voters, are always the ones that are right, but my thing is, again, I'm running this year. I got to run again next year for my, 4-year term that technically I didn't start off at the 4-year term. So to me, I'm just running every year. So just my thought.
You have a special case. Having to run 3 races in 3 years is definitely painful. I agree with that 100%.
But I thought the state just changed some of that stuff also, that it was gonna, I'm trying to find out all about that, because I think other spots are doing the same thing, unfortunately. If I'm correct, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm only going to be for 1 year if I get in again. It's for 1 year, and then you have to run again.
So, people keep bringing up the town hall as an example. I just want to make an example that when I got put in charge of the town hall, we went from having nothing to putting it out to bid in a few months. So this idea that we need years and years and years to get things done, no, we just need to allow the right people to do it. And I'm not taking credit for myself, but we can't use that as an excuse. Again, I'd like to ask, are you in favor of sending it out to the voters to decide or not? Because that's kind of the reason I brought this up tonight, to give the lawyer some direction. So if Councilman Cookingham, if you can make a decision if you want to send it out to the voters or not, please.
They're gonna be making the decision on me every year, so it doesn't,
Yeah, but I need you to tell us if you're okay sending it out to the voters to decide
mean-
if,
You can send it out to the voters.
okay? And supervisor? Are, no, yeah, but
Right.
you're on the
But I
board,
have
so
to
you
be-
decide
yeah,
if
so-
the attorneys are going to spend time trying to figure this out.
I guess I agree that it could go out for,
Okay.
So now are they gonna be all the same, so you would replace the whole board? All at once? Cause that's
No.
another major issue.
I don't know if you look at other towns and how they operate, but the majority of the towns are on 2-year terms, and the entire board is typically up. And so when the town hits a population of 10,000, you're going to be on ward district, and that's the way it's going to be. I believe that's the bigger towns that are over 10,000, they're on ward districts typically, and they usually are on 2-year terms.
So there's no alternating where a couple stay and
No,
we should try
no,
to
that's not
work together?
that's not the normal thing that you see. So we're not trying to like recreate the wheel here, but
Common sense isn't common.
so. All right, so that's all I needed is that we can continue working on it.
Okay, yeah, so, sure, I'd be happy to. So, the process would be for the town board to introduce a local law, have a public hearing. If the town board votes yes on the local law, then that would go on the ballot in November. We need to finish that process at least 60 days prior to the election in order to get it on the ballot. So that would be the process.
Okay, 12B, becoming a sister town with a town in Italy.
I know it's very vague, but I don't know how to say the town's name, and so
No,
I left
I
it
don't
as
either.
that. But, so I wanted to give everybody to get everybody excited is really what, why I put this on the agenda. Because a lot of people in the town don't know this. I never knew it until one of the relatives reached out to me about almost a year ago and told me this was going on. So I'm going to read some facts of kind of a story, and then we'll get into kind of what's going on here. So as Gary Veter mentioned, Edgar Peters, he was born on July 26, 1922, here in the town of Pleasant Valley. He went to Arlington High School and graduated with the honor key on his diploma. He met his wife, Elizabeth, at Arlington High School, and they got married December 12th of 1943 at the Presbyterian Church here in town. Edgar joined the Air Force during World War II. He was a pilot and assigned to the 57th Fighter Group, where they flew the Republic P-47 Thunderbolts. I'm going to give you a really high, we're going to get more into detail of this stuff later on down the road here, but his squadron was the Yellowfin. It was named that due to the yellow bands affixed to the wings and tail of the planes. Unfortunately, on September 4th, 1944, he was deployed in Europe and Italy. He was the head of the Yellowfins, and they took off on a patrol to patrol railway lines and roadways looking for enemy targets. They intercepted a convoy that was stopped at a town railway station at the time, and they began to attack it. However, they did not know that the powder magazine occupied by the enemies was not far away. So for them, a thick rain of tracer and timed fragmentation bullets fired by the Germans began. After a dive, the P-47 fighter that he was flying, Lieutenant Peters, who was in charge of this squadron, was hit in the engine by a German tracer, and the aircraft immediately began to smoke. He headed out of the area of the collision towards a nearby hill. I'm not even going to try saying the name of the town because I'm going to mess it up, declaring via radio that he had engine problems. Peters tried to keep the plane at a high enough altitude to try not to hit the houses, but as seconds passed, it became increasingly difficult for him to control the aircraft due to the serious damage suffered. He then attempted a last desperate rescue of himself. He prepared to jump with a parachute. There's actually reports from his wingman that said that he got the canopy open, was about to jump, but unfortunately at that point the plane made a nosedive and hit the ground and hill, almost completely destroying itself. After that, Edgar fell between the sheets of metal shortly after him. This is where it gets kind of interesting is he was lying on his back on the ground with his aft open parachute next to him. He had, unfortunately, a deep cut on the back of his head, and the first rescuers could only confirm that he had unfortunately passed away. So picture yourself in the middle of World War II in a small Italian village. There's reports that they didn't know if it was German airplanes or American aircraft, and they heard a loud noise, and they went and investigated. There's an amazing story of how the residents of this small town took care of Edgar's after the crash. They made sure he had the proper burial and collected any documentation, and were able to get that information back to the Americans. On June 2nd, 1945, Edgar was exhumed and was temporarily transferred to a former military cemetery in another town in Italy. And Edgar was finally returned home to Pleasant Valley on June 27th of 1949, where he's laid to rest at the Pleasant Valley Episcopal St. Paul Cemetery. So you can actually go visit Edgar's grave in the cemetery. His wife is buried there as well, who unfortunately buried him when he got back. Why am I telling you this story? First of all, most people don't know about Edgar Peters, but it is amazing that this little town in Italy has been telling Edgar's story for the last 80 years, and the 80th anniversary of when he crashed into their town on this hill was this past September. And Edgar's family from the United States actually traveled over there to be a part of it. I'm going to show you some pictures up here on the monitor. They actually erected a monument in Edgar's honor over in Italy. They flew an aircraft, I think that's a Lance, I believe. Yeah, Piper LC-4. Of course, now my computer's going to freeze because I'm asking it too much. Let me see. There we go. There's the aircraft. They did a whole ceremony. They had dignitaries there. They had bands, a whole bunch of stuff in honor of Edgar. But 80 years later, they actually created an entire exhibit over in this little town in Italy, which tells Edgar's story. And a lot of these pictures that are there in Italy right now are pictures of Edgar here in the town of Pleasant Valley. I'm just going to skim through them really quick and just show you some things. So they have tons of pictures there. They have documents. And then they actually have artifacts. This meant so much to the town that for generations they've been passing down just small pieces of the aircraft or things that they found where it happened, and they have that on display. And then this I found very interesting. So on the left there, you probably all know what that is. That's the Northern Duchess News. Jim, I'm going to mess up his last name, but Jim Donick, what is it? Donick, he wrote an entire article about this because actually somebody was doing a research paper in Italy who's from there and actually came over and visited his grave, met some family members here in Pleasant Valley, got a tour of our town. Jim did an article on it. Brian Bopp, who's a resident of the town, actually at a yard sale randomly bought notes that Edgar had written. Didn't realize it connected, and those notes are actually over in Italy right now with the paper. It just blew my mind that there's actually history books on the town of Pleasant Valley sitting on the table there, which I thought was amazing as well. So, and there you go. You can see the War Memorial here in Pleasant Valley, the town hall. All of these are over there. So when I was approached by this, I didn't realize how this was actually somebody explained the story to me, but they've taken this very serious over there, and I think we should take it very serious here as well. And we're all in a receipt of a packet and a letter from the mayor of this town in Italy, and they're requesting that because we have this bond between us, even though we're a world apart, that we somehow do a proclamation or a resolution to acknowledge that we share this story of Edgar. And I personally think that we should make it a day or something that we do. It shouldn't just be a town board meeting where we do a proclamation and move on. I personally would like a special town board meeting when we're at that point. Bring the proper people here to acknowledge what Edgar did. Bring his family here and do, maybe get a P-47. I don't even know if any of those are still flying, but do a flyby. I don't know. But that's why I wanted to bring it up, to get everybody excited and get the board excited that we have this great opportunity and just share Edgar's story. So that's all I have. I know Emily's working on all the legalities of becoming whatever, a sister town or whatever we want to call it, but that's all I have. Thank you for entertaining me. Oh, and there's a good documentary. If you type in Edgar N. Peters in YouTube, there's a 15-minute documentary that they did in Italy, but it's translated into English that you can watch on YouTube. So I thought that was kind of cool, too. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 12C. On June 25th at 5 p.m., we're going to do a dedication of a road sign for Kurt Butch Gardner at the Helen Aldrich Park. And I just wanted to let everybody know that they are welcome, everybody is welcome to come to that dedication.
What time?
5 o'clock on June 25th.
Thank you.
Okay, 12D. I would like a motion to accept the resignation of my legislative aide. Go ahead.
So moved.
Unfortunately, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
She is leaving, and I wish her all the best. She is an absolute amazing person, and I'm really upset that she had to leave. But, okay, 12E. There is a program that the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office is doing, and you can see a picture of what it looks like. There's a solar panel and a camera and whatnot. They are, the request is that they would place it on a single pole with a camera and solar panel at South Avenue. And these cameras enable the law enforcement, this is all done by the Sheriff's Department, enable the law enforcement to locate vehicle paths of traffic to and from active crimes. They are not used for traffic enforcement and do not capture speed. Utilizing this technology from Flock Safety has already enabled them to solve several homicides, robberies, burglaries, and rescue missing and abducted children. So we are hoping that with your help, we will be able to expand that program and increase the successes in Dutchess County.
Sorry, I missed. Where do they want to put it?
So should I make a motion to accept this? Do I have to make it from the sheriff?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I'd like a motion to, I'm
This is
sorry.
going on, Michael, this is going on South Avenue?
Yeah, just one
Right.
of them, yes.
What property?
To
Is it, are they asking on our property or?
Yes.
Yes, for the entranceway,
To the park?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them. There's one actually right in front of Arnoff on 44.
Somebody just said that to me today.
Yeah, you don't really notice them. They're painted black and they're just
Yeah.
kind of this little camera, so.
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion, or I'd like a motion to accept this camera system that's called Flock Safety for the Sheriff's Department.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business, the local law of 2020, local law G of 2025, which is the short-term rental law, and this is print 3.
So we made just the very small changes to both local law G and J that the board requested at the last meeting. And the laws with those small final changes were circulated more than 10 days before this meeting so that the board members would all have them for the required period of time. So if you're ready to take a vote this evening, you can do that.
I just have a couple questions, because I read everything that got changed over. For the owner occupied, so that means for the STR, that renting something out that they're living in,
Yes.
correct? So,
Right.
I mean, is that a liability because they're renting to, I don't know who, but now we're making them actually be in the house? For us?
Well, no, I mean, no
Because,
one has to
somebody
do
would-
it. It's
what's
only
that?
if they choose to do it, and that, you know, we had people come to comment who, you know, were doing that and wanted to continue. So I
Okay.
think that was, I shouldn't answer. It's for all of you to answer.
And then somebody just mentioned about the zoning and that, can we just make sure that we have that a zoning administrator or whoever can just go up there anytime? Right, can we just?
They always can go up there anytime. I mean, the ways of enforcing a law aren't necessarily for someone to go out right at the moment either. You know, you can
Right,
gather
that's what I mean.
evidence and go to court and things like that.
Did I can't find it right now. The 90 days that they have to stop doing a short-term rental? What? Okay, mine doesn't have any page numbers on it.
75-2,
Oh, thank you.
at the very end after each. Oh, I guess it is H. It's right here, yeah.
Okay. Existing date and commitments.
It says is that they can honor existing, at the time the law goes into effect, if someone has existing reservations, they can keep them for the next 90 days while they're applying.
But if they're in a illegal spot or not?
Yeah.
That's what all right, is there maybe a way that we can like lower that? Oh, because that's like the end of the summer. Right. And we
I
can
mean,
just do these changes with, we don't have to,
No, you have to wait 10 days. That was why we
you
talked
make
about
a
it at the
change?
last meeting.
Oh,
You have to
okay.
have it in final form on your desks for 10 days before you can vote.
Oh,
So that was why we changed it, and I sent it out right after the meeting so that you'd have it for the 10 days before today. I mean, we can do that, but then you'd have to wait till the next meeting to vote.
well, I realize that it's holding stuff up, but I also realize that sometimes these things have to go out many times before they're done and you vote on it. So I don't want everybody up here to feel like they can't say something, right, just because we have to do it for 10 days.
Just telling you the rules.
No, I'm glad, thank you, thank you. So the other thing is I went to a course on this. You were there. And they stated in there that there's like a legal issue with the owners staying, that we can't tell the owners that they can stay there, that they have to stay there.
What that might have been, so there, I'd prefer to talk about the potential legality in an attorney-client session if you wanted to do that. I don't want to talk publicly about, about that issue,
Oh,
if that's okay.
okay.
There's no issue with having someone stay on the property. The issue may have been something tangential to that. And I'd be glad to talk to you about it, I just don't want to do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right, and then is it actually going to work with us having people be put into a home so that people can have a short-term rental, especially in, you know, these spots that I'm concerned about, which are the developments and neighborhoods or subdivisions or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know what are you,
Well, you know, you're saying that, like, somebody needs to be there. Okay, so in a subdivision or a neighborhood or whatever, I'm just concerned about this, you know, who's gonna be there, and are they gonna stay there the whole?
So
They can't stay there the whole time, right?
well, they can. I mean, so
How
you
are we
can
gonna
only,
enforce that?
so you can only rent your property via a short-term rental permit if the owner is on property overnight, and they have to list the owners when they apply for the permit, so we'll know who they're supposed to be. And you're going to enforce it with the fact that if, I'll give you two scenarios. If I have a party at my house, I'm not a short-term rental, but if I have a party at my house and I have a live band out there till 1 a.m, my neighbors are gonna call the police on me, and there's the legal side of that where the police come and do whatever. With the short-term rental permit side, is we are requiring that the owner is on property, following these 10 pages of rules if they want to operate as a short-term rental. And when we get a complaint that there was a party and a band going on at 9 o'clock at night because we're requiring quiet hours to start at 8 p.m., well, it's going to be hard to go to the zoning administrator and say, yeah, I was there, but I decided not to do anything about it. Because either they weren't there and it happened without them knowing, which they get their permit revoked, or they were there and they let it happen, which is a violation of the permit, which again leads to them not getting a permit anymore. So the requirement of having an owner there is to really be able to actually go after people when they're not following the rules. Because if the owner's there, this should be followed to the T. If they're not there, we're going to find out really quick, and they're not going to have anything. The other thing is that what's happening now with the people that are rightfully upset, that's not allowed in any of the zoning districts that it's currently happening in, because those are unhosted short-term rentals. They're going to be considered lodging facilities, which I know has been going back and forth in courts and everything else. This literally codifies in the first page of this law that if they operate any short-term rental that does not have anybody there overnight, it is going to be treated as a lodging facility, and they're going to be shut down because it's not allowed in any of the districts of what we've heard, situations that are going on. So that's how we're addressing the fact of this is not going to be a commercial business with nobody there in a neighborhood, but we're still rewarding those residents who might be in a neighborhood who have been operating a short-term rental illegally, but nobody knows because they're there and they do the right thing and nobody will be bothered by it. And the people who don't follow the law, they're going to be done fairly quick because there's no defense. But the idea that somebody's going to be here 24 hours a day, no town, unless you're like the city of New York who has wasted a ton of money on everything, you're not going to have somebody sitting here 24 hours a day. You're never going to have somebody sitting here 24 hours a day. So, but we've made this law to have the teeth to easily, this isn't an investigation. We have a complaint from your neighbor. There was a party going on in the backyard at 10 o'clock. Your quiet hours start at 8 p.m. What happened? You weren't there or you didn't follow the law? You're done.
Just looking at like the short-term rental permit application, so who's in charge of that?
That's the planning and zoning office.
So that they'll have to go through the planning board and get a special use permit?
No. So if they're a lodging facility, which would be an unhosted one, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that would go through all of that. If you're a hosted and you're on property, there is no planning board. It's a permitting process is usually that's how it's written.
So the zoning administrator would issue a permit.
Does anybody else have any comments? I have, just because I sometimes get all over the place, so it's been a long 2 years in the making to even get to a vote, so I figured I'd write down some of the things highlighting why I'm passionate about this. I just want to remind everybody that I was pretty left field with this law when it started, and I've come pretty around to what everybody wanted with this, and I've really compromised where I came from, and that was through taking classes, listening to you guys, listening to the residents. So I would have never voted in favor of this law a year ago because I would have said it was too restrictive. But so I want to express my support for the short-term rental law and speak to both its intent and its safeguards. At its core, this law is about giving local residents a reasonable way to earn extra income if they need it, something that's increasingly important as families face rising costs and financial stress. It allows homeowners to responsibly rent out a portion of their home while they are present, helping to ease the burden without compromising neighborhood character. This law does not open the door to absentee landlords or business-run rental properties. It requires the owner to be on site overnight during every rental. It limits 1 permit per owner. It makes permits non-transferable, and it caps the total number of allowed in the town at 25, which if you do the percentage on actual homes in the town, this is a very, 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 very low permit amount. And if you look at all the towns around us, it's pretty restrictive, which I'm supporting. That gives us meaningful oversight and prevents speculative abuse. I also understand the concern about neighborhood disruption. That's why the law includes strict rules. It limits occupancy. It sets out off-street parking. It sets very restrictive quiet hours and a mandatory good neighbor statement that renters must sign. There are also enforcement tools in place. Permits can be suspended or revoked for violations, and owners can be barred from reapplying for up to 3 years. So what we have here is a balanced, well-crafted approach. It helps Pleasant Valley residents use their property to support themselves in a controlled, respectful way without turning our neighborhoods into commercial zones. Now to my fellow board members, a vote against this law is not a vote to stop short-term rentals. It's a vote to allow them to continue unregulated. Without this law, we have no formal way to enforce occupancy limits, no requirement that an owner must be present, no structure for revoking bad actors, and no cap on how many short-term rentals can operate in town. Voting no does not eliminate the issue. It leaves us with fewer tools to manage it. By voting yes, we're putting in place a strong, fair framework that protects our residents and our neighborhoods while still giving locals a way to ease financial strain. I will be the first to admit that this is not going to be perfect for everyone, but it's something to stop some of the things that we've heard for the last 2 years. It will be done if we vote yes to this law. If we vote no, they will continue doing what they're doing, and we'll continue down the process that we've been going down for the last couple of years. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So we're allowing 25 a year? 25 total a year. Does anybody know what surrounding towns are allowing?
I know the town where I used to have a short-term rental, it was over, I think it was 150. And that's in a town of probably 800 people. I mean, it's a very small town, so.
I'm just curious to see what Hyde Park has, what town of Poughkeepsie has.
I can't remember the town of Poughkeepsie's number offhand, but it's a low number for, I think it's something like 6 or 8 for unhosted, but it's a high, yeah, it's higher for hosted, which is what your
Okay.
what your law would allow. Yeah. I could find out, but I don't know offhand.
What happens if we have more than 30 going on in town? The other 5 have to stop?
So that was addressed, we made that change in the law of how they're gonna be decided. No, if there's 30 going on in the town, the first 25 that come in and get a permit, the other 5 have to close down, is how I understand the law.
And obviously, we're not regulating it right now, so we have no idea how many we have going on right now. So for all we know, we
Correct.
could have 30 right now.
Correct. This also, by passing this law, opens us to the grant money from the County of Dutchess to use Granicus, which will regulate and do most of the work for enforcement. That's what it's designed for. They'll give us up to $5,000 a year to use that.
I think Millbrook allows 15. I thought it was 25, but it looks like it's 15.
Is that the town or the village of Millbrook?
Village.
So yeah, that's a very tiny area. So we're only allowing 10 more than that, and the village of Millbrook is not the town of Washington, so.
Okay. We'll go on to 13B, Local Law J of 2025, Accessory Dwelling Units, Local Law, Print 3.
Can you turn your mic?
Sorry.
We can't. Me and Michael can't hear anything down here.
We're at the kids' table tonight. It's hard to hear.
I just turned it off thinking I was turning it on. We made the couple small changes that were requested at the last meeting. I think it's allowing 3 people instead of 2, and there was one other small thing. So that's what you have. Oh, and that the plans will be given to the fire department. That was added.
I'll start if you want.
Go
Do
ahead.
you want me to start? I get off track, so I wrote these down to make sure I stayed to the point tonight for all your sanity. So again, I want to just speak in support of this proposed law regarding accessory dwelling units or ADUs and to address some concerns that have been raised over the process. So when I brought this change up to the town board, my goal was simple. It was to give residents more flexibility. This law allows families to create independent living spaces for either aging parents, adult children who are just starting off on their own life, or to rent out to help offset financial pressures, all while staying in their homes and maintaining their ties to the Pleasant Valley community. This is a modest, thoughtful change, and I want to clarify what it does and doesn't do. First, some have asked if this would allow people to build ADUs in front yards. It does not. ADUs must comply with all current setback, zoning, and design requirements, including where structures can be placed on property. That's all addressed in 9815 of the town code. Second, I've heard concerns about strain on wells and aquifers. This law addresses that directly. No ADU can be built unless there's certification that the water source is safe and sufficient. That's in 9815B11. The same goes for septic systems. The Dutchess County Department of Health must approve the septic capacity before an ADU can be permitted. That's 9815B12. Third, this won't lead to unchecked development. Only one ADU is allowed per lot, and the homeowner must live in either the main home or the ADU. So you're not going to have a bunch of people buying up a bunch of property and putting a bunch of cottages everywhere and building a little town somewhere. That's not the point of this law. And that basically ensures accountability. The ADU must not be larger than 900 square feet, no more than 2 bedrooms, and no more than 3 residents. These are modest, self-contained units, not large apartment buildings or high-density housing. So what we're trying to do is enabling somebody that's already, so what we're doing tonight is enabling something that's already needed and already happening, but we're putting structure and safeguards in place. Again, to my fellow board members, a vote against this law does not stop people from needing these spaces. It just denies them the ability to build them legally, safely, and with proper oversight. A vote in favor supports local families, it preserves our property rights, and it provides a responsible way for residents to remain in their homes and support their loved ones in Pleasant Valley. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ollie's looking for something for me.
So I know that we referred it to both Dutchess County Planning and the Town Planning Board on April 7th. So the time has elapsed that we needed to wait for responses. And I know we did get one from Dutchess County Planning. I don't recall if we got one from the Planning Board, but the time has elapsed. We did? I might just not have it in my folder. Oh, okay, great. So we did get that? Thank you.
I just couldn't find it.
Did we file the response?
What was that?
Mary Beth, do you know if you have that in your file? You'll check, yeah.
I know the county responded, and we addressed their concerns in the
right.
last
Yep.
rendition.
But it stated that the planning board also responded, but I just wanted to see if we met their standards also, that's all.
Yeah, I know there was concerns and talks. I didn't see any formal response, but there was talks. I know about septic and water was a concern.
That's why I just want to make sure,
yeah.
just want to make sure the planning board is on board.
I don't know. I kind of skimmed through the meeting because I hadn't seen anything, and I might be completely wrong, but I don't know if there was an actual like vote. Could have missed it, but I don't know if there was an actual vote of like if they were totally against her. But they had good discussion about a bunch of items.
I would really like to see that because I could not find that over this weekend. Can you find that? Do you have that response from them? Oh, she's looking, oh, okay, all right.
Your microphone.
13C is stated that it's going to be standing agenda item for existing project updates. So somehow we're going to try to fit that in differently, like make its own title.
Yeah, I think this
So-
can just, I think this may be the last time this goes on. I'll use it for Katie, if, supervisor, if there's anything, we talked about it already, but, I'll just use this for the project I'm handling, which is Katie. We're still working through it. No major updates. Everybody that was here, you remember the update in terms of, if we could do it all over again, so originally the basketball court was gonna go behind the softball field, and the playground was on the other, and for good reason, we flipped, and if we could go back in time, I think we would have undone that, because that put us near a well that we thought was retired, that was live, that put us near buried conduit that we didn't know existed, that put us near a stump, that put us near, so we're sorting all that out. This is old news, we're already working through this. There's an issue, and we're committed to figuring this out. We need to make sure the ADA is compliant, because all kids and all people need to be able to use this court and this playground. And the elevations are a little bit challenging, but it's nothing that a little construction and creativity can't figure out. But we should know, we should have a new plan in the next week. And then once we approve that, we're basically gonna just slide the basketball court. Originally, we were gonna slide a little bit closer. Now we're sliding back to the original plan. The point is, we should have a plan by the end of this week, and then at the next meeting, we'll know what we're doing, which is essentially what you're expecting, and then we're gonna hit the ground running, because we gotta make up some time. We wanna get this thing done by the end of the summer. So that's my update. And there might not be anything else.
Okay, 13D, new town hall update. Councilman Reifenberg.
Okay, so I'll start with the things that are on the agenda. So we have two change orders that hopefully the town board will approve tonight. They're both for credits for the electrical contractor. Basically, long story short, is the main electrical panel, when the electric comes into the building, was originally designed to be in the basement. Thank goodness that never happened. We redesigned it to be upstairs. That cut out a bunch of work and material to do that, so we have a credit of a little over $5,000 we're getting back from the electrical contractor. And then the second one is they were supposed to run PVC piping and stuff through the parking lot for the lights. Come to find out, there was already stuff there and it was all in good shape. So we're getting a credit for almost $5,000 back on that as well. So that's the change orders that we have a resolution for. If you've driven past there, the front doors, so you had all the different units, all of that stuff comes out. Some of it gets locked up, new doors get put in. You can see they're starting to work on that this week. Hopefully you'll start seeing the front main entryway going in. They've started, if you drive by, there's a window that will end up being behind the entry, like framed out area. We understand the brick does not match 100%, but that's because it's being covered by the actual front area, so I don't want anybody freaking out about that. It does look really bad right now, though, because it's completely different. On the second floor, they finished up sheetrock on the walls last week, and they've had people there taping all the joints and everything on that on the second floor, and they should be sheetrocking, hopefully the first floor, a good portion of it this week. All the walls are up. I mean, now we're getting into like the details of like, where's this security monitor going to be for the court clerks, and where's like, that's what we're working on now. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot more change orders coming. There's going to be credits. So for example, the PVC piping for the electrician, the general contractor in their contract had actually trenching out those sections of the parking lot. So we're going to start seeing some credits rolling in. There are going to be some ads as well as we start moving some stuff around. We're working on security camera placement, Wi-Fi stuff. This town hall is going to have panic alarm buttons, so trying to integrate all that stuff in with the alarm system. All the doors inside are going to be fob accessible. We're not going to have keys, so like trying to figure that all out. So yeah, we're just getting into a lot of stuff now that's not just like building a building. It's all the little detail stuff. So I don't have any pictures because like showing you walls inside of a building is not as exciting anymore because you'll just see one office space. So yeah, that's all I have. Any questions? Anything? No?
I
Yeah.
want to thank you from myself and the beautification there that we got it mowed in the front
Yeah,
there. So I
yeah.
did see that, so thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, there was
and-
some confusion of who did
Right,
what.
I know, you
And
was-
we just pulled the trigger and just did it
Right.
ourselves, so.
And then, like Dan said, just to update the beautification there that I'm also helping out with. We've met twice. They're meeting again on Wednesday and that, and then you'll see on the next board agenda that we'll have a person that's going to take the role of running the whole thing there. So
Good, thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, 13E, summer camp update. Do you
I know my name's next to it, but that was just to make sure we had an update, so go for it.
Okay.
You and the rec director, it's all you.
Go ahead, Nikki. You might.
I just went through my to-do list today and figured I would just read everything that's going on, and then if you guys have questions, we can just do it like that, if that works. All right, so last week I met with David Whalen and Brendan McAllister. We went through the property, we spoke for a few hours about everything. They did hire a grounds crew. They were there when I was there. It was about 4 guys, and I did get the main contact, so I'll be able to be in touch with him all summer. The way that Susan and I are handling camp is that I will be overseeing teen camp because it's just a lot for her to take that on. She hasn't really dealt with that, and that's just wasn't part of the deal at New Teaming last year. And I've been planning teen camp for the last 6 months, so I think it's just better that I oversee it. At this point, she's going to take on Sunny Sprouts and Sunny Days. And obviously, we'll be working closely together because the teens will be there 2 to 3 times per week. All right. I get the keys tomorrow, the key holder. We're only making a couple copies. We're not gonna put it out there for everybody. I also received the code, so I am able to go there whenever I want now, which Susan did go there on Friday to look at a few things. They were cleaning up a lot, so I will give that to them. They were, like, there was so much trash there. It was unbelievable, but I saw them cleaning it up, and it looks pretty good. We have our training dates planned for camp staff. There's gonna be a meet and greet for the public for camp parents only on June 17th. We sent that information out. So there's been a lot of questions about the pool and everything, and we want to make sure that parents feel comfortable, so we're going to have them come on the 17th. We're working really hard on hiring waterfront staff, so thank you for putting that on the agenda today because hopefully we can find someone quickly. Vanessa and I, after a lot of back and forth with the Department of Health, we do have to have a certified pool operator. After doing a lot of research, we realized that that's really a rec and parks thing, so Vanessa and I are becoming certified pool operators this week. It's a 16-hour course that we're taking, and then we take a virtual test this week. So we're going to get it done so these kids can use the pool. Swim Solutions is opening and closing the pool for the county. We do need a weekly maintenance company to actually handle that. So I did receive a verbal quote from them at about $90 a week. We also have to pay for the chemicals. They're sending me a contract and a quote tomorrow that I'm gonna send over to Supervisor Albrecht. A few things that we did find out. There are going to be other camps during the day there, so we're working that out. The county told me that Pathfinder has the rights to that field and they're allowed to rent it out. So Susan and I are working that out. Basically, we're gonna figure out a way to discuss that with Pathfinder and the county. We're gonna have our own separate drop-off and pickup area for our camp. We just need to find out from Pathfinder who they're renting it out to and at what times for traffic purposes. We did find out that the public is not allowed to be there after camp. The county's just not willing to do that, which is understandable because it's going to be an extra, it would be a lot of extra money for the town to cover security and all that, so
Yeah,
the
a lot
county
of
met and they
extra.
decided against that. Unfortunately, they don't want us to use the kitchen either, so I'm trying to figure out another food solution because we transferred the money out of the camp food line. I am working with Madison's because that's what we've done before as well. Lists are being made of what needs to be moved to new teaming, and I've been working with Jason and Todd about that, so we'll be doing that at some point this month. And we are working on finding some kind of vehicle, like a golf cart for our management staff for the summer to rent, because it's just too much if there's an emergency up top or whatever, we need a vehicle. And I don't want people to have to use their personal vehicles. Pathfinder had their own van that they had their staff use, so we'll do some kind of vehicle. And then CPR training and all that, we're working it out. It's a much longer course, trying to figure out how we're gonna fit this in this month, but we'll get it done. It's about 16 hours of training, so we'll get there. Now, we've got like 28 days, so fingers crossed.
I have a question. Do they have cameras?
I don't know. There's a security system for cameras. There's a camera when someone drives in, right? So on my phone and on Susan's phone, we're gonna have the app and we're gonna be able to see who comes in. We have a code. The other camps are going to have codes. So that we have our own code for Pleasant Valley, so they know when we come in. But we're not responsible for letting anybody else in at all, yeah. So if another camp comes and they say, oh, we're with another camp, can you let us in? I have to say no. You're supposed to have a code, yeah.
So to help advertise what you need,
Yeah.
the aquatics director.
Yes.
Maybe if you just give a little brief synopsis
Oh.
of what they do.
Oh,
What
well,
the-
the
yeah.
aquatics director, so the aquatics director essentially swim tests all of the kids. So in order to run this pool, in order for the kids to actually swim, we need an aquatics director. So the first few days, all the kids are there. We decide if they're non-swimmers or swimmers. The aquatics director is the only person that is qualified to do that. They get wristbands, and then we know if they have to wear a life jacket or not. Yeah, it's actually, even though it's the bulk of their job is the swim testing, it's a very important, and really only an aquatics director is allowed to do that. So it's very, very important that we get an aquatics director in the next 2 weeks. Or I don't know what we're gonna do. But, and then the water safety instructor is for swim lessons. So that's not necessary. I mean, listen, if
Right.
we're gonna have a pool, that's awesome, and, you know, we don't need to have swim lessons, but if we can find one, and we are talking to someone, from Hillcroft, so there's an option, but,
And the aquatics director has to be 21 years old also,
yes, yes.
just so that in
And
case
lots of
somebody that just got
lifeguard-
their lifeguard
Yeah,
thing
they
thinks.
manage the lifeguards, they're supposed to train the
Right.
lifeguards, they make the lifeguard schedule, so they're essentially in charge of the waterfront staff. So
Okay,
hopefully we can find one, if anybody knows anybody.
great. Good job.
Thank you.
It's been
Any
a
other
lot of work.
questions?
Thank you, Emily, for working on it too.
I just wanted to start off by saying thank you. I know it's probably been a really tough 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're getting everything done. I just forwarded you an email from Nikki that was sent on May 20th that has all the aquatic staffing requirements as a fact sheet. So I'm sure you could use a lot of that for when we advertise.
Yes.
I just forwarded it to all of us, so it's at the top of our inboxes. Just a couple questions. Is the contract actually signed?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, do we have a copy of it? Because it sounds like things changed.
I don't have Emily and Warren worked on it very diligently and read it all over also, but it has all of our points in it of everything.
Okay,
And we don't have their signatures yet.
can you send it to the board?
Sure, I can do
Okay.
it with my signature.
That's
yeah,
fine, yeah,
yeah.
just it sounds like some stuff
That's
has
fine.
changed.
Yeah,
Food. What is, so, I'm trying to remember, but I believe there was $5,000 set
Yeah,
for camp food.
yes.
And in the resolution, it was transferring that to use to cover camp costs. That
Yes.
was not food.
Yes.
Are we working on a plan of, well, like,
Yeah, we just.
I am working
we-
on a plan, so we wanted to use Fuel for Life, which LaGrange is using. We wanted them to run the kitchen. When I mentioned that to the county, they said no. They don't want us to use the kitchen, they don't want us to make a mess essentially, and they just cleaned it. Oh, that's fine, but I didn't know that, so we kinda went back to, back to basics. Talked to Jay from Madison's. He wants to discuss pricing and before he commits, which I understand. But then we would have to transfer money back into that food line again. But then Marshall from Fuel for Life did text me this evening and say he might have a solution, so I am going to talk to him in the morning. At this point, I feel like that would be easiest because our campers would pay them directly, that company directly. And then we wouldn't really have to deal with transferring money back.
Right.
And then he would have a menu for them, and like what LaGrange is doing, he's delivering food to them. Everyone just has boxed food.
Right, it just gives the
Yeah.
kids an option.
Yeah, and
the
they're so used
parents
to
an
having
option,
that. Most of
right.
our kids, like 75% of our kids, order food, and our whole staff orders food. So I don't want to take that away from them, but we need a solution. Yeah. Yeah, so he has a website. He has a website, and they would pay him directly, which eliminates us as the middleman.
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
so in this big solution of numbers, there was a target of revenue based on enrollments. Are
Mhm.
you at where you expected us to be for
I'm very
enrollments?
proud to say that we have the most kids enrolled in Camp Sunny Days we've ever had.
Okay,
We
and
have
it-
about 70 at Camp Sunny Days. We have about 20 in Teen Trailblazers per session and 20 in Camp Sunny Sprouts, which is 110, which is about 40 more than we've ever had. So I'm very, very excited about that. 110, which is about 10 more than I told you we'd have.
okay.
So we're
Perfect.
actually going to cap our guys soon because scholarships are, so we also, that was a change as well. We're not apparently offering scholarships anymore. The county is handpicking who they're sending to us, and then if there's any space left at the end of that, then we can offer it to our kids. I just don't know if there's enough time for all of that because I need head counts in the next 2 weeks for the trips and everything. So I'm waiting for them to send me the list of the kids that are coming.
And wi-
So I don't know, with the food and everything and the trips
Yeah.
and the buses and all that, I'm just trying to work out the numbers.
with the kids that are getting sponsored by the county, when this was discussed, there was going to be a application process, and Pleasant Valley residents would also be able to apply,
Yes.
and they would potentially cover some Pleasant Valley residents that might meet the criteria of whatever they came up with. Is that still staying like, I know you're not saying sponsorships, but
No, it's
are
not
Pleasant
like that
Valley
anymore,
residents,
unfortunately. No.
so Pleasant Valley residents are not being included in that?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
They're
yeah.
picking, they're handpicking.
They're
I don't know where they're
handpicking,
coming
we don't
from.
know
We don't
what
know.
the percentage is.
There's no
We
application
don't know what the
process anymore.
percentage is gonna be
Okay.
of kids in the,
Yeah.
And then, this is more of a question for the board. I'm just curious how the conversation went. A big part of the conversation 2 weeks ago was to kind of get this idea off the ground, was that the public was going to use it. What transpired between that meeting and where we are now? Did the county just decide to make a 180, or
yeah,
was it
basically.
not, like, what happened there?
they got
Yeah.
very nervous about a lot of different things. They did make some very good points. And what would have to happen is we would have to hire like several people to be able to be up there during those times because of their, concerns about the whole place.
Yeah, I
So,
think we talked
Yeah,
about that.
now,
Yeah.
if for the future, if this goes well, and the numbers are showing right now that it would go well, if this goes well, we can budget for all of that for next year. And then
Yeah, no,
it would be a different
yeah.
story.
No, I
because they're
understand all of
very
that. I'm
concerned.
just really curious
No,
how the county went from telling all of you
I-
guys that they
I
were
just
going.
knew they had a meeting, and
Yeah.
then they called me, and then I called Mary, and
Yeah.
that was basically the end of it. It
Was-
wasn't up for discussion, honestly. with them. It was just.
Did
them
they
for-
tell you before the last meeting that they were going to allow the public?
What do you mean? Before the last, no, I think that was you guys discussing that and then
Okay.
wanting to bring it to them, yeah. And I think we did bring it to them.
Yeah,
And
we
then they had
did.
a meeting about it.
Well, I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think the conversation was that we were going to bring it to them. I think the conversation
No,
was that.
they had said that they would be able to accept us going up there and walking around and stuff. But then, I don't know if their insurance company or their attorney or whatever
Okay.
got involved, and
They had a big meeting with their
That was the
attorneys
end of
and,
it.
and the county executive and everything, and that was
Yeah.
the response that we got.
Does the contract, did you get the additional information in the contract that the county's guaranteeing that after summer camp's over, that the town of Pleasant, they can't sell it and that the town of Pleasant Valley can operate camp there next year?
no, that is not in there specifically, but they are extremely willing and open to hopefully that this is gonna work out. But they didn't wanna make any long-term commitment because we have to see how it's gonna go for us.
Okay, well, I
'Cause we don't want to put ourselves in a bind like that either.
I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, great job. I know the work, well, I don't know, but it sounds like the work you've put in. I'm just curious, from the county standpoint, are you getting the support, the response, the help that you need from the county?
100%, yes.
that's
I'm in constant contact with them every single day, yeah.
Good. So they're
They've been
stepping up
amazing.
to make this a success,
Yeah,
like they
David,
said?
Will, and Brendan have been great.
Yeah.
I will say that I still, after the last meeting, would respectfully request that we make Vanessa full-time, because this is just a lot. I mean, I'm working 74 hours this week. I don't think that's fair, honestly. And I have to. I have team trip on Saturday, we have orientation Friday, we have orientation Sunday, and I have 35 in-office hours that I have to work. And then I have 16 hours to become a pool operator, and I'm doing that. Honestly, not for anybody here, but for the 150 kids that are coming in 3 weeks and need a pool. So that's 74 hours of work today to Sunday.
Did anybody acknowledge or respond to your email?
I have something that we came up with today that might help that situation.
Okay.
So I'll discuss
I mean,
it
I
with
just,
you.
with this, and then, you know, PV Day, obviously, the resolution is being, you know, so that we're gonna go right into that. And I just don't, I don't know how to do all this and then do a 16-hour CPR course this month, and it's a lot. And you guys have got to take some of this off my plate and give Vanessa full-time or something. I don't want another part-time person, so not to be disrespectful, but if that's a solution, please no. I need Vanessa to be full-time because she knows what she's doing at this point, and she's willing to be she wants to be full-time. The kids love her, the community members love her, the parents love her, she's dedicated, she's young, so she'll be here for a long time, then she's gonna have kids and put them in our programs. She's the kind of person that you want to bring on full-time into a department like this, you know? And we work really, really well together, so it would be fantastic.
So you have 28 days?
28 days.
So 2 weeks ago, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your hair's on fire, where would you have rated that 2 weeks ago, and where do you rate it now on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of progress made and being ready in 28 days?
I mean, listen, we got a lot of progress done, like communication with the county and everything, but I thought there was going to be a special board meeting to hire aquatic staff. I thought there was going to be some kind of acknowledgement of my request for full-time staff for the department. It's just, it's been difficult. I'm not complaining. Listen, I'm very excited. These kids are excited. It's going to be a good summer, but there's so much that goes into this, and I still can't apply for a permit. Nobody's a pool operator. There's no aquatics director. I just stopped at the permit paperwork, waiting for someone to have a certification for something. That's why I have to take a 16-hour course this week to be the pool operator, which, by the way, a pool operator makes like $45K on their own, and I'm doing it on my salary without anything extra, even though I've asked. So, listen, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but I think that there's just got to be some kind of understanding of what's going into this, and when I ask for help, I think it's kind of obvious that we need it, you know?
I know Supervisor Albrecht has put a lot of time in the last 2 weeks helping.
Yes, 100%.
I can't speak for anybody besides her because I've seen her car here, but if you need help, I know I didn't support the resolution But obviously I want it to be a success. And
Yeah.
if you're here asking for help and nobody's helping, you can call me and
Okay.
I'll get whatever you need done. But yeah, I think the board needs to step up and
And I do
start
want to acknowledge that Supervisor Albrecht and I have been
yeah,
working really well. the
start
last 2
offering
weeks.
some
Yeah.
help and support the decisions that we made.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Can I be recognized for a sec?
Sure.
Can we just, can I make a motion to do a 5-minute recess so we can use the bathroom since we're on 2 hours now?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to go in a 5-minute recess.
All in favor?
Aye, thank you.
Public's not allowed. You have to just sit here and suffer.
Did she say second? All in favor?
Aye.
Is she doing the fish again? Okay, on to resolutions. I'd like a motion for Board Resolution 600 of 2025, amending the 2025 general fund balance.
So moved.
Second.
All in
Can-
favor?
Can we
Just really
do
quick.
discussion and discussion and all for, against, all that stuff?
We can't hear you.
Oh,
Can we do
Oh, I-
discussion and then that whole
oh, okay.
process?
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Just, I'm just looking at it. The engineer and the publicity, didn't we do something last meeting where we increased the publicity? Or no? Was there something
don't
else I'm
think
thinking
so.
of?
No, this was the resolution. It was added incorrectly.
Oh, this is the
Decrease line.
same
Yeah, this is-
resolution?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is the same.
resolution. It's
oh,
I was like,
that
this
is
looks
why.
familiar.
Was this the one that was
That's
off
why.
like 6
Yes.
grand?
Yes.
Is that one? Got it.
Yeah,
Thanks, now I'm on the same page.
and it's lower, so that was good.
I'm good.
Okay, all right, Dan? All
Good.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 601, I'd like a motion for 601 of 2025, resolution approving change order for electrical contractor for the new town hall project.
So moved.
Second.
Do you want, did you need to say anything?
No, we
Is
already
okay?
talked about it, yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Like a motion for Resolution 602 of 2025, appointing member to the Pleasant Valley Day Committee.
So moved.
Second.
And just
I'll
discussion.
just read them.
Well, I was just
or-
going to ask, I don't remember because there's so much stuff going on. Did we put this out for people to
Oh, yeah,
say
yeah,
they were
yeah.
interested?
Oh,
That's what I
yeah, they
figured.
were all interviewed.
Yes.
thanks.
yesterday.
And I just wanted
Yeah.
to say thank you to everybody. We had actually, I want to say 11 or 12 applicants.
Correct.
And we interviewed every single one of them, and it was not an easy choice, because everybody was extremely qualified. But we also can't have a huge committee like that. So those who did apply, do not think that you're forgotten. We will need help still. But when it comes to a committee, you know, we already went to 7 people, but I can't remember if we had 11 or 12, but we had a lot of people. For a committee, it's really hard usually to get people to actually come and volunteer, and we had so many. And it was a really hard decision, so, because everybody was highly qualified and wonderful. But it wasn't easy, but for those who did apply, you have no fear, you'll still be getting asked for help, so.
And our members for this year are Mary Meyer, Terry Albrecht, Angel Abreu, Pamela Highbridge, Rebecca Paul, Marie Rowe, and Eliza May. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like a motion for Resolution 603 of 2025, appointment of lifeguards for the 2025 Town of Pleasant Valley Summer Camp.
So moved.
Second.
Just
Go
really.
ahead.
Oh, I see it. Never mind.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like a motion for Resolution 604 of 2025, a resolution to adopt proposal local law G of 2025, a local law creating a new chapter 75 of the town code titled Short-Term Rentals and amending chapter 98 zoning.
So moved. Sorry, the button was stuck.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Proposed local law G of 2025, I'd like a motion for a local law creating a new chapter 75 of the town, oh shoot, what did you do? I got 15,000, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. 605, okay. Like a motion for Board Resolution 605 of 2025, a resolution to adopt proposed local J of 2025, a local law amending Chapter 98 of the Town Code with regard to accessory dwelling units.
So moved.
Now,
Set,
I just need a second before we
Just
can
need a
discuss.
second.
second.
okay. Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
with this stated, we're wondering when we were going back, and Mary Beth nicely ran to see about the emails and stuff like that. This isn't the first time. Unfortunately, we were here not too long ago over Katie's ordeal with getting emails and stuff like that. Can we hold off and just get back the information from the planning board and then just try to find out what's going on, so the communication between the planning board and our board, there's not, you know, people in the audience finding emails and, you know, minutes that Mary Beth should have easily had and stuff like that to make it easier for everybody, because I know there was a discussion and they had the discussion at the planning board just to table this
Yeah.
until next meeting at least, that's all.
I agree with that, because I really don't want to vote on this the wrong way, so I would rather,
I'm in agreement that we should have those, but I also like to point out that we knew for the last 2 weeks that we were voting on this, and to get here tonight to make a argument that we can't vote on it because we don't have the comments from the planning board. I personally think that, like, we could have watched the meeting or read the minutes or asked to see where they were, knowing that we had a vote on it. So I think we should vote on it, but if the majority wants to table it, we could table it. But, I mean, we knew before we got here tonight that we didn't have them in hand, so this probably should have been addressed maybe last week.
I would like to table it.
So this is the second time, like Councilman Cookingham said, that this has happened. I think we need to figure out what's wrong with this process of why this keeps happening. I don't understand
Yeah,
it.
that-
Right, that's my biggest thing. I
Yeah.
just wanna, it just makes us both both boards look like something's going on. I just wanna make sure we have communication, good communication with both boards, or all three boards, zoning included. That's
I
all.
mean, I might feel different about it, only because I happened to watch that meeting. We commented about it. I think a lot of the comments that we've added to it, Councilman Reifenberg's comments about water being in this front yard, a bunch of the other comments, that was raised in the most recent planning board meeting. It was 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago now, but if everyone else didn't see that and we don't have notes, I don't know. I'm ready to vote, but it's majority rule.
I just want to note that when we make those required referrals, we don't always get responses. And the other agencies are not required to respond. We just give them a time period. So if we don't get something back, it doesn't mean, you know, we don't know that there's a problem. So it's really the other agencies that need to make the effort to get the responses to us.
no, there definitely needs to be
Yeah.
some discussion about that, yeah.
Meaning we
Right.
should be
But
reaching out.
Right.
Meaning this body should be reaching out to pull the comments. Is that
Right.
right?
No,
So, I
meaning
mean-
they,
No, not
we might just
necessarily,
assume
no.
they didn't want to comment. So
Right.
we wouldn't know. I mean,
Right.
it's really on
Is there a
the
way
other.
just to, so then we
board.
should state that, they should state either way, they rather just not comment, or just so you would know, there's something didn't get missed like in Katie's, because supposedly it was put on, but just didn't get to the right cross members, that's all.
Yeah.
So what, was a vote taken by the planning board to send a comment to us?
I mean, when I watched the video, I didn't see an actual vote. There was very good discussion where a lot of
Right.
my comments came from, but I didn't see like a motion, a second to vote against or for it. I know in the past for like short-term rentals and stuff like that, I remember seeing something like that.
Right.
I don't know if you're gonna get and I might have missed it, but I don't know if you're gonna get a definitive, like, these people voted yes and these people voted no, or everybody voted for it or against it.
Well,
I
it
don't
doesn't have
remember
to
that.
be for or
It doesn't
against
have
the
to be
law,
for
but it could just be.
I thought it just was a response to.
Comments.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
a
Yeah.
comment, I
right.
didn't think it had
Yeah.
to be a vote. That's
Yeah,
all.
no, yeah, you have a very valid point. I'm letting you
Right.
know that the comments that two board members have watched it,
Right.
and it was water stuff, it was them
Correct.
being in the front yard, all of that's been addressed. If you guys want to wait, that's fine. I don't see the need to wait. And the fact that we've had 2 weeks to realize that we didn't have it, and we're here tonight realizing we didn't have it, I think you do exactly what we did for the last group, and that was pass it, and we move on from there. I mean, we didn't have a problem passing the last one without the written comments from the planning board when we talked about the feed store, and they could have been totally against it, but we wouldn't have known. So how are we going to change what we're doing? Like, we never did that when Katie was here, so.
Well, no, with Katie's, we had somebody
Wow.
that found it, and then it was
Yeah.
brought up to Mary Beth, and then Mary Beth okayed it, and then she verified.
Yeah, but did you read it?
with that.
Did you read it? I didn't read
No,
it.
I-
So what,
Okay,
it
so-
wouldn't change your decision.
So the bottom line really is that it's only 2 weeks away. I personally think that we should read what they have written down, and I'll get it, and I'll make sure that does not happen again, because like you said, this is the second time now that this has happened. And we'll make sure that it does. I don't know if everybody's in agreement with me,
No,
though.
but you guys can make a motion to table it, and we'll see if the majority, but
Okay,
I
so-
disagree with it, but somebody has to make a motion to table it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table Resolution 605 of 2025.
Second.
Second.
Can we have a discussion quick?
Sure.
Before we vote, again, I will reiterate that you all had the last at least 2 weeks to do your research and watch the videos or reach out to the planning department or do anything besides waiting till last minute and wasting everybody's time. So I would hope that you would not table this and we'll just move on and do something more productive. And I'd like a roll call vote if we get to that.
Yeah, I'll add a comment. Knowing what I know now, I wish I could go back in time and table the good cause eviction law that we voted no on when people were on this board raising issues about the very law where those issues were exempt from the law that they voted no on, where they were concerned about things that people would not be affected by the law that 2 minutes later they voted no on. So lesson learned. I will never make that mistake again. And I would also say that we've had 2 weeks. We could have done this, and we should have done it. We could have voted tonight. So now we wasted 2 more weeks. Okie dokie.
All right, all in favor of tabling this?
I'd like a roll call, please.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Councilwoman Chapman.
Aye.
Councilman Cookingham.
Aye.
Councilman Deegan.
No.
Councilman Reifenberg.
No?
Supervisor Albrecht.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, I would like a motion for Board Resolution 606 of 2025, appointment of 2025 Town of Pleasant Valley Summer Camp No Teaming staff members.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would like a motion for 607, 2025, authorizing payment of abstract number 6P of 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion? Just, can you just
Oh,
clarify
sure.
what this is,
Discuss-
please? Just clarify what this is.
I'm sorry.
Can you just clarify what this is?
Oh, this is
Yep.
for the planning, for the, go ahead. Escrow, thank you. I couldn't find the
Got it.
word for escrow.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I be recognized, because you need a unanimous vote to add the next 3 agenda items before we go on?
Oh, yeah.
So, just moving forward, I completely agree that there's obviously a fundamental issue with getting comments, but can we all agree that we're all on the same page, that we need to be consistent? You guys just voted to table something as simple as this, which has nothing that anybody should have some controversy over, but the majority of this board voted on an $80-something thousand contract that nobody read at the last meeting, and we're making a big deal about this. You guys should be ashamed.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to, geez, now I'm screwed up. Motions for items for special consideration, we have 15A, permission for the town clerk to advertise for the legislative aid, and I'd like a motion to be able to do that.
I'll make a motion.
To add it to the agenda, or?
Oh, I have to add it to agenda
I
first.
think that's what
already
we
did
have
it.
to do first, right?
Correct. It needs to be added to the agenda with unanimous vote.
Oh, I already pretty much did that, okay. I need a motion to add the 15 items for special consideration, 15A, 15B, and 15C.
They have to be individuals.
They have to be individual?
Yeah, because
Oh,
somebody
okay.
might not want to vote for one of them.
Okay, 15A, permission for town clerk to advertise for the vacancy of legislative aid.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like a motion for permission to, for 15B, for water safety instructor. We need to advertise for water safety instructor.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I would like a motion to consider 15C for the aquatics director to be able to advertise for one.
I'll make a motion.
Just a discussion on this. We knew we needed an aquatics director. Why is this on here? Why isn't it part of the regular agenda?
Because we just did it at the end of last week, and we didn't put it on there. On Friday, I didn't put it on there.
Okay, thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like a motion to open the public portion of the meeting. I'm sorry.
We need to vote on all three of those. We just allowed them on the agenda. We need to go back
Okay,
and vote on them.
I'd like a
Sorry.
motion to vote on 15A, permission for the town clerk to advertise for the vacancy.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion and permission to advertise for 15B, water safety instructor.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like permission for 15C to be, for hiring a aquatics director.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I be recognized?
Yes.
So just very quickly, we acknowledge, I think, in this room, on this board, in this town, in this county, in this state, in this country maybe, that we have a housing crisis. We tried 2 weeks ago to protect people in them. It didn't work fine. ADUs is another way to solve that. We either have a crisis or we don't. So I hope whatever needs to happen in 2 weeks gets sorted out, and then we can do that, because if we acknowledge there's a crisis, but we continue to do the same thing, or worse, we continue to not do anything, we either need to start being honest that it's not a crisis, or we're not actually here to solve the problem. So we have 2 weeks. I hope we get whatever we got to get done, and then 2 weeks we're here and we can vote this thing down, or vote this thing through. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like, excuse me, a motion to open the public portion comment of the meeting for any business, one time only, 3 minutes per person.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Gary Veeder, Salt Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. I haven't heard, and I suppose it's not necessary, but what the final budget for new teaming is, which way, the cost versus the expenses. I can't imagine Pleasant Valley residents being those who have children registered for the camp paying $250, and we get 50 non-residents mainly selected by the county that are coming free. Just a statement, I just can't understand. The second thing is, I think you really have to realize that when you throw these new laws that require much more time from either salaried or elected officials or whomever, that is really above and beyond, they should be compensated for that extra work. The example on top of it right now is recreation, and the new teaming project took a lot of time by our recreation commissioner. It's done in other positions in town, get extra stipends for different jobs. I just think you really should consider that because it's nice that it's being done, but you could be in a lot of doo-doo for if she just said, I'm working my 40 hours a week and that's it. Thank you.
Kathy Kruger, Rawls Road. I can't even imagine how overwhelmed you must be. I mean, that is a full-time job in itself, just running the camp. I've been a camp nurse before. It's terrifying. I mean, I love kids, done it for 40-some years. However, things that need to be considered, I mean, defibrillators, do you have enough? You know, I mean, just let's face it, you know, biggest cause of death in children, one of them is drowning. So that's a big concern of mine. Walkie-talkies, radios, how you guys are all going to be communicating with each other. Is there only going to be one nurse for this whole camp? That is an overwhelming feeling of responsibility and, quite honestly, terror. If you've got somebody bleeding, somebody has a concussion, you don't even know what kids, you haven't even been able to tell what their medical backgrounds are. Do you have kids that are diabetics? Do you have them on insulin pumps? I mean, do you have any kids that have seizure disorders? What if you have something going on and then you've got another one drowning? You're going to prioritize which one you're going to take care of at that time. You know, the CPR courses in itself, once you get done with the CPR course, you're shaken for quite a while after that, you know, and like I said, I don't know how many defibrillators you have, and I would hope to God you have enough walkie-talkies and so forth and equipment for people with asthma, and I just can't even imagine the space. I don't know what it's like up there. I know New Teaming's big. I don't know that, you know, where the nurses station's going to be, where the pool's going to be, and where everything else is that's going to be taking place. But that in itself is a huge, huge responsibility, not to mention just running the camp. I mean, my hat's off to you. I don't know how the hell you're doing it. And I hope to God you get help. And yes, you deserve to have a full-time staff person working with you because that's just too much for one person to take. It just is, no matter how you look at it. Short-term rental properties, I'm gonna go back to that. Been living on a block where the houses have been rented for years. They have not been held up to code. I don't know when the last time anybody's out there to inspect them. And I know from my neighbor next door to me, lovely man, now has a wife coming home from being in the hospital and in rehab, and now she's got to come back to a house that I don't believe is air conditioned, gets flooded, didn't have electricity in the kitchen for I don't know how long, appliances that weren't working, and that poor man's building a ramp right now for her to be able to get in the house. And I know that house has not been looked at in years. I don't know what your rules are and regulations are going from one rental to another. I think houses, when you're renting houses and they're changing over maybe every year, every 3 months, every 6 months, somebody should come out there and take a look at them and make sure that they're even up to code. I mean, I know I'm in a rare position now because the guy who's been running the manager is now sitting in Albany jail, and he's got somebody who's supposedly in charge who lives in Colorado. How the hell does that even come up to the rules and regulations you've been talking about tonight? Who the hell is really watching what's going on our block? And I've been back and forth with the DEC for all the wood chips that are getting dumped down the wetlands across the street from me. And they're just like, we can't do anything if we can't find the damn owner of the property. So I just hope to God that you guys follow up with your rules and regulations and you get your zoning administrator to get something accomplished.
Hi there, I'm back. Arun Fricker, 117 Valley View Road. So for me, accountability is a big value. I know last time I spoke, I didn't realize that the cost of new teaming was on display, and I didn't realize that, so I apologize for that. But I did want to recognize and commend Councilman Reifenberg for his amount of preparedness coming to each of these meetings. I think he's shown time and time again with both the town hall updates and the diligence of which he's providing these very nitty-gritty details and understanding as he's coming to these meetings what's going to be put on show, as well as providing an incredible visual for something that came seemingly out of the blue, all within the meeting. This is the example of what we're expecting as residents from our board, this amount of preparedness coming to these meetings, because otherwise, as we're deferring important matters, it just wastes all of our time as well as residents who are trying to help provide some amount of accountability as well for what our voices are. So I really commend your efforts, Councilman Reifenberg, and hope that you continue doing this level of due diligence and preparedness for each of these meetings. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mary Beth Muir, Town Clerk. I really don't never say anything in the 14 and a half years that I've been here. But when you need to feel the need to embarrass someone, maybe you should ask yourself what it's really all about. I'm disgusted by the behavior I saw tonight. Hurting others doesn't make you feel better, does it? When did we lose sight of who we are and what truly matters to this town? I've been here 14 and a half years, and in that time, I've seen many town boards and supervisors come and go. And I have to say, this current board generally works very well together, and that is something worth recognizing. Not everyone is going to agree when it comes to time to vote, and that's okay. In fact, 90% of the time, this town board votes together, but there will be moments when your views are going to differ, and that's just expected. It is healthy. Respectful disagreements is part of a strong, functioning democracy. There is no need for the behavior I saw tonight, and Supervisor Albrecht deserves an apology.
Anybody else want to speak? Not seeing any, I would like to make a motion to close the public comment portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.